Welcome back. I am Pete. Today we reveal the 3 invisible wealth thresholds banks hide from you. Crossing these specific financial boundaries entirely changes the hidden rules of the global money game forever. Most people stay completely stuck, constantly wondering why the financial math never seems to work for them. Your employer and the financial industry actually benefit massively from your ignorance about these 3 mathematical milestones. This exact concept goes back 6 centuries to Renaissance Italy, where bankers noticed money behaves differently at scale. Below a specific mathematical threshold, your money is purely defensive. You hoard it, constantly fearing losing it. But once you cross these distinct amounts, you start playing a completely different game with new rules. Let me give you the exact numbers for today's modern economy so you can change your life. The very first milestone is exactly $100,000 in liquid investable market assets, not your house. Below $100,000, the concept of compound interest feels like a complete lie to most. With just $10,000 invested, making $800 a year will not even cover basic streaming subscriptions. Because you do not actually feel wealthier, you never behave differently, and the growth remains practically invisible. But at $100,000, an 8% historical return generates $8,000 every single year. Suddenly, your money has its own tangible momentum. It is no longer just sitting there doing nothing. This powerful psychological shift transforms how you relate to employment, making your daily job feel like a choice. The daily financial desperation fades slightly. You might finally ask for that raise or leave a toxic environment. Getting to this very first threshold is absolutely brutal, taking 7 to 10 years on average income. It's an incredibly slow, boring puddle phase where your own contributions do almost all the work. 90% of people quit right here. They buy a nicer car instead of sacrificing for their future. But if you survive this long puddle phase, getting to $200,000 takes exactly half the time. Your money starts contributing meaningfully to its own growth, pushing the financial boulder uphill right alongside you. The second net worth milestone that completely changes your life is $500,000 in investable assets. At this specific level, you generate $20,000 yearly in passive income using conservative safe withdrawal rates. This covers absolute basic human survival, meaning you become functionally immune to the total catastrophe of sudden unemployment. You wouldn't lose your house. You could easily take a full year to find the perfect opportunity. This incredible psychological shift grants you walk-away power, the ultimate leverage against toxic bosses and bad employers. Employers absolutely know when you live paycheck to paycheck, which is why they offer insultingly small annual raises. But with $500,000 invested safely, your money is now your absolute most productive, entirely tireless employee. It works non-stop without any complaint, producing $40,000 year after year at 8% average returns. This completely frees your human capital to focus entirely on long-term growth, side businesses, and highly valuable skills. $500,000 sounds strictly impossible, but building on your initial $100,000 dramatically accelerates the overall timeline. It typically takes just another 10 to 15 years of consistent investing to reach this massive second milestone. Those exact years will pass regardless. The only real question is whether you will use them strategically today. During severe market crashes, many panic and sell, converting temporary paper losses into terrible, permanent, locked-in financial disasters. You must constantly internalize that market fluctuations are just noise, and your strong financial fortress will protect you. The third financial milestone fundamentally changes your relationship with time itself, forever separating the wealthy from everyone else. This almost magical threshold is exactly $2.5 million in highly liquid, fully investable market assets. Even at a very conservative 6% return, you automatically generate $150,000 every year. You finally cross the true inversion point, where your stored capital officially becomes more productive than your labor. Every single hour you spend working for a standard salary is actually an incredibly inefficient use of resources. Trading time for money becomes a mathematically bad trade, exactly like accepting payment in a severely devalued currency. Here is the genuinely uncomfortable truth. Reaching this third major milestone almost never happens through standard corporate wages. Standard financial advice advising you to save 15% is explicitly designed to make you secure, not wealthy. Most people reach $2.5 million through significant ownership in private businesses, real estate, or startup equity. The entire economic structure around you actively works every day to keep you from understanding these thresholds. Major banks profit massively from your debts, meaning delayed wealth building for you and endless payments for them. Employers benefit enormously from your desperation, knowing you will quickly accept unpaid overtime and terrible, unfair corporate policies. Nobody actually wants you to reach these milestones because true financial independence makes you a deeply dangerous employee. They expertly distract you by focusing entirely on income instead of your actual objectively measurable liquid net worth. They meticulously engineer lifestyle creep, pushing expensive new cars and premium subscriptions to absorb your every pay raise. Most insidiously, they make the first threshold feel so impossible that you eventually stop playing the game entirely. If you give up early, you instantly become a lifelong customer instead of a powerful, wealthy financial competitor. So what must you do right now? First, calculate your exact liquid assets across every single investment account. Do not ever count your car or house equity. Write down your honest, objective starting point right away. If you are below 100,000, your singular, incredibly urgent mission is cutting your expenses absolutely ruthlessly. Survive the grueling puddle phase. Automate your monthly investments so the money moves before you can spend it. If you are currently between 100 and 500,000, your primary financial focus shifts to protection. Build a solid emergency fund and start seriously calculating what walkaway power genuinely means for you today. If you are approaching 2.5 million, you must start thinking very seriously about obtaining actual ownership. Build machinery and powerful equity positions because massive wealth rarely comes from a simple bi-weekly corporate salary paycheck. If you cross the inversion point, avoid the huge temptation to take enormous, catastrophic risks with your capital. Do not try to turn 2.5 million into 10 million quickly by blindly chasing exotic returns. Historically, wealthy families faded away because they failed to update their internal mental models across these financial thresholds. They made aggressive Stage 3 decisions when they only had Stage 2 money, completely destroying their generational legacy. You must understand that different levels of wealth demand completely different strategies and entirely new risk management mindsets. The physics of money shift at each stage, rendering the exact rules of your previous stage completely obsolete. Now that you see the financial game board clearly, you can push through the brutal, boring initial slog. You now hold the exact financial framework that most people will live their entire lives without ever encountering. The financial industry, media, and your employer will never tell you this uncomfortable truth, but now you know. The question is what you're going to do with it. If this video changed how you think about money, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for future videos. Leave a comment telling me which milestone you're working toward right now. I read every comment. I'm genuinely curious where you are in this journey. Thank you so much for watching.